Hi YouTube. I'm going to show you an easy fix for what I bet many folks have experienced, and that is this Bafang motor working itself loose as you ride it. The only thing when you install these initially, basically the tube that contains the spindle goes through your bottom bracket tube, and it's threaded at the end, and the way you attach this motor is to this little Y bracket, and then this lock nut, you just tighten it with the lock nut. And so that's the only thing that's holding this motor up. It's just whatever friction you can apply by tightening that lock nut, and then there's this jam nut that goes behind it. But I've done this a couple of times using Loctite and everything else, and both times I've had this bike now for just over a year, and 3 times it has worked itself loose. And I've had to, take my crank off, go back in there and retighten things, and then a couple months later it's worked itself loose again. So anyway, I just thought there's got to be a better way. So I came up with a pretty effective system, and that is, let me get in a little bit closer here. I have basically just used heavy-duty zip ties. That's these big, thick ones. I bought a pack of them on Amazon. These are Flirt, F-L-U-R-H-R-T, 200-pound test, so they're about 3/8 inch wide. But anyway, what I did first was, here on the down tube, I wrapped it with that self-fusing silicone tape just to prevent scratches as I applied these zip ties. And then I loop a couple of these ties around the down tube just to get a loop started. And then, let me see if I can get in close here to the bracket. If you see this mounting bracket, you just thread the zip tie up from behind, and I think you can see that coming through now. So then you just pull your zip tie through, loop it around the motor, and you can do the same thing on the opposite side. So I've actually added a third one around the middle just because I would rather have too much than not enough protection there. So then after you get these 3 wrapped around the motor, or 2 wrapped around the motor, your choice, or even 1, I suppose, it'd probably be pretty effective with a 200-pound test. You run those through, around the motor, through these 2 ties that you have looped around the frame, and then you just tighten everything up as tight as you can and snip off your excess zip tie. And with the black ties, it actually blends in really well with the motor, so once you get any distance away at all, like from up here, you really don't even notice that it's down there, so it keeps a nice clean look on your bike. I built this bike from scratch, actually. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a future video. But anyway, this system has worked extremely well. Ever since I've done this, that motor has just stayed rock stable. There's no give or flex of any sort in that at all. And chances are there never will be, because these zip ties are as tight as they possibly can be. Plus I've got the regular lock nut. So anyway, that combination now, after 3 months, there has been no loosening whatsoever. So it appears to be a very cheap and effective solution. So I hope that proves helpful to anyone else who's experiencing this problem with their Bafang motors. Thanks so much.